What it do, Kaizoku crew? It's your boy, Kaizoku Ice. And first, before we even talk about anything, can we just appreciate the fit real quick? Got my Trafalgar Law hat. This is a gift from my buddy Joseph for my birthday, so shout out you, Joseph. And I also got a new One Piece shirt. Y'all see it? It's like a Beatles Uniqlo collab. You see like Luffy, Usopp, Zoro, and Sanji walking across. Kind of fire, I'm not gonna lie. But you know what's more fire and even better than the whole fit here? Are the cards I'm gonna be talking about today. So, guys, the cards I'm talking about today, I think have extreme value and are completely underrated because people don't understand the significance behind these cards. So let me make myself a little bit smaller here and kind of go over my, I guess, thesis about why these cards are going to do extremely well. So this right here is not the card I'm going to be talking about, but kind of plays into my theory. So this right here is the Luffy, which was drawn by the artist of Black Clover, Yuki Tabata. Also, shout out Pew Piece right here. This is a great One Piece TCG or just One Piece account in general on Instagram. So if you're not already following them, please follow them. So these cards I'm going to be talking about here are all drawn by different mangaka, right? So this is the Luffy drawn by the artist of Black Clover. This is the Ace drawn by the artist of Blue Exorcist. And then this is the Sabo drawn by the artist of Promised Neverland. So I actually don't think, well, obviously people probably do realize that these cards are drawn by different mangaka, but I personally think that that in itself is a very cool fact. To have a different artist other than Oda kind of pay homage to the One Piece trading card game by using their own distinct art style, I personally think that that's a really cool thing. And if these cards were in English, then I think that these cards would go to the moon. And they might end up being printed eventually in English, but right now it's in Japanese. But that's kind of like where I'm thinking with this is I'm thinking of different and special One Piece art by different artists. I think that people aren't really paying attention to the fact that some of these cards are being drawn by very famous people, right? And that in itself is something that I think people need to take advantage of and be aware that, that's a thing. And we've kind of, this isn't the same exact comparison, but if we're looking at the BVB Luffy, which is kind of a special card in itself with special art and in real life touch to it, this card started at about like $100, right? On TCG Player it says $140, but I know from people I talked to that actually went to the game, they were selling it for about $100, right? Now it's like $220, and people are buying this card for about $200, right? This $230, like this card is just continuing to go up. We see the upward trend right here. It's clear as day that this is a card that people want. Same thing with the Luffy Dodgers card that it's not even out yet, but people are already pre-selling it for $350. This one right here is going for $515. Like these in real life touches to the One Piece cards are clearly, there is a clear premium for these cards. And I found some, in particular 2 cards here, that have that in real life touch that I personally think are going to make those cards do extremely well. And right now, I feel like people aren't really acknowledging the fact that they are being made by, kind of famous mangaka, right? So now with all that being said, I'm going to talk about these 2 cards here. The first card I'm going to talk about is the Shanks from Event Pack Volume 6. Guys, this card right here is insane. I mean, the art in general is really cool, but what makes it really cool is actually the fact that it is drawn by Yuto Suzuki. Yuto Suzuki's only drawn 1 card in the One Piece trading card game, and it's the Shanks. But what you guys might not know is that Yuto Suzuki is actually the artist of Sakamoto Days. If you guys aren't familiar with Sakamoto Days, it is one of the more popular, if not, like, honestly, probably like top 5 animes / mangas currently in Shonen Jump right now. If you guys haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it, but it's about Sakamoto, who's a former like assassin, and is honestly one of the funniest animes I've ever seen, but also like kind of hits pretty deep to home because he kind of goes through his whole journey about how he was an assassin, now he's not, but he's also still fighting people. But guys, to have a card drawn by the mangaka of Sakamoto Days, I think that right there is a no-brainer. Like this card for only $2.50, I think that this card could end up reaching easily $5, which would make it a 2x, but even higher than that. 1, it's a Shanks and people like Shanks. 2, the art right here, guys, like this is insane art. The detail around it, I mean, look at the detail on Shanks' hair, the way he's attacking right here. It literally looks like Sakamoto. If you guys haven't seen Sakamoto Days, like this is kind of what you're expecting in the manga, but I love this art right here. If we're taking a look at the trend of it for the past 3 months, or actually let's look at the past year, I think this card released in the event pack volume 6, which I believe was in March. Clearly it kind of started extremely high at $34, which I don't think this card will get back to $34, but I mean, clearly it's bottomed out right now. It's about $2. Honestly, guys, like, I think we're at the Pico bottom right here. I think that, let's see, it sold 121 copies, sold at around $1.61 on average, only about, what, a week or two ago? And it's slowly climbing back up. It's about $2.25 right now. You can get yours for about $2.50, let's say $2.50 to $3 right now, but I can easily see this card going back up towards the right here and reaching about, $3, $4, $5 in the near future, and especially in the long term, because I think that people, once again, people aren't recognizing the fact that some of these artists are very famous. Like, Yuto Suzuki he literally wrote Sakamoto Days, and Sakamoto Days is one of the best-selling Shonen Jump serialized manga right now in Japan, and I guess in the entire world. So that's the first card I want to talk about. This is the Shanks. I think there's a lot of potential for this card, especially once people start realizing it is made by a famous mangaka, right? And it's in English, as opposed to, these cards right here. I personally think I would rather have this Luffy right here, because this is like the Black Clover art design, and I think Black Clover is arguably more popular than Sakamoto Days, but it's in Japanese. I still would if this card is not printed in English, then I would buy every single copy of this card in Japanese, because, it's just really cool. It's made by a famous artist, right? But until we get it in English, I'm probably just going to wait on this card, to be honest. But then the next card I'm going to be talking about is right here, the Tony Chopper. This was made by Shuhei Miyazaki. To be quite honest with you guys, I'm not too familiar with this mangaka. This person, let me just quickly take a look at it. Miyazaki. They made a manga called Me and Roboco right here. I'm not familiar with this at all, but still a very famous and prominent mangaka in Japan, and as a result, I think that card's going to do really well because it is made by a famous artist. Say what you will about the art, because when I first saw this card, I was not too impressed, because it's a little bit, it's different, right? It doesn't look like your typical Oda drawing or any shonen drawing in general, but I do think that this right here is a nice touch, because Chopper just looks cute and stupid in general. Like, it's just a fun card. I will say, though, that at this current price point of about $7, I would still prefer the Shanks, because the Shanks is only like, what, $2.50, whereas this one is almost 3 times that value at $7. But I will say, if we're looking at the general trend here, it kind of peaked right at release around $26. It had another peak here about $13, and is slowly kind of on a decrease. But I will say, maybe this card kind of gets even lower, around $5, and actually it's more near $8. There's 23 copies here at $7, but seems to be more around like $8. If you look at the data for the past, couple months, some were able to buy it about $3, but consistently it's about a $8 card. So it is a little bit more expensive, and I'm not sure about the playability of either the Shanks or the Chopper here, but just from a pure art perspective, I like this card. It is made by Shuhei Miyazaki, a famous mangaka, and I don't think people are realizing the value of that right there. So that's pretty much it. I think that in general, when we're looking at cards that we want to buy and invest in, right? You kind of want to look for the more special things, and I think that having a art right here that is made by a different artist other than Oda, that's paying homage to the One Piece trading card game, I think that right there is something that's extremely special and extremely underrated. People probably don't even realize that these cards are made by famous people, right? Famous mangaka, right? And I think once people do, then these cards should honestly end up going a lot higher than what they're currently priced at. Because that's something really special. And I keep saying these words like special and like rare and all that stuff, but to me, honestly, that's a really special thing to have some famous artists try to draw your art in their respective style. Like, that's really cool to me. So anyways, guys, it's just those 2 cards. I know I talked a little bit about the BVB Luffy and then the Dodgers Luffy. Those cards in itself are extremely cool also, but a little bit probably outside of most people's price points at $200 and $350. I do think that the BVB Luffy here will probably end up going a lot higher because it is green purple Luffy and has meta relevancy right now in the current format. But maybe this goes even higher than what I talked about. I don't know, but regardless, get the cards that have that in real life touch to them. I think that that is something that's being underrated currently and will end up propping up the card's value in, you know, the near/long-term future. So that's all I had to say for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you all appreciate the fit. Let's just do a little fit check one more time here real quick. Like, room, shambles, fire. Anyways, okay, I'm Kaizoku Ice. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I'll catch y'all on the next video.